उत डांस करदी पई है, उत डांस करदी पई है।
वज़ारत तालीम भी तदरीस के नाम पर डांस पार्टियों का हिस्सा बन गई। यूनेस्को के कहने पर डांस मुकाबले कराने का नोटिफिकेशन जारी कर दिया गया। 25 मई को अफ्रीका डे पर तालीमी इदारे बच्चों और बच्चियों से डांस परफॉर्मेंस कराएंगे।
उत डांस करदी पई है, उत डांस करदी पई है। अधी धी स्कूलों हटा ले, उत डांस करदी पई।
It's interesting that a song can generate visceral reactions because it insults the phenomenon of promiscuous culture prominently found in co-ed colleges, that of girls dancing and singing. It's another thing dancing and singing are seen as cultured extension. These are the topics to debate around, not to be negated wholesale, the cultured mind would argue. Honey Singh's lyrics, despite their overt obscenity, don't ring much of a bell. Raps which diss other rappers neither, nor the ones where rappers air their lustful desires. Because it's a trend to be respected.
और एक डब्बा शाही सवारी हो और सैंडो फुल फंसी हुई और बॉडी बेंच ऐसी कि सारी बचियां गीली पपियां गीली। जस्ट इमेजिन तेरे बिन मैं सदियां जीली। नच मजैजन नच न समझ।
What this rapper is singing about, adolescent girls, didn't invite much outrage from enlightened minds, or should I say pop-infested zombies. Maybe because he is doing it through rap, or is already an icon, so that whatever shit he utters is taken as golden words. That's because of the conditioning of the secular mind. Certain forms become normalized being part of the popular culture. Girls dancing in college fest, freshers and farewell parties is cool. And cool and conjury can't be synonymous according to the cultured mind, according to which everything goes.
जेड़ी नचदी स्कूले पई है, उंदी इज्जत लुट्टी गई है, उंदी इज्जत लुट्टी गई है। तू कंजरा टोर बना ले, उत डांस करदी पई है, उत डांस करदी पई है। अधी धी स्कूलों हटा ले, उत डांस करदी पई है, उत डांस करदी पई है। घर पर्दे विच बिठा ले, उत डांस करदी पई है, उत डांस करदी पई है। जेड़ी धी दा करे सिर नंगा, ए तालीम तो धी नू चंगा। जेड़ी धी दा करे सिर नंगा, ए तालीम तो धी नू चंगा, ए तालीम तो धी नू चंगा। रख जाहिल पर्दा करा ले, उत डांस करदी।
People are objecting to the word conjury being used in the song for the girls who dance in school and colleges, without having appropriate response to a number of questions being raised in connection to the co-ed system as a whole. To begin with, it's clear that secular mind is poorly equipped with both social literacy and the religious literacy. Dance is not an empty art. It's an art with movements and suggestions of different kinds, and hence it contains elements similar to sloganeering. It doesn't only entertain but tries to convince the audience of something. Dancing in colleges is attached with rebellion, free sexuality, desirability, etc. But empty minds see it as mere entertainment, except it's not value neutral, as secular minds would have us believe. Muslims in the comment section are hell-bent on condemning Mr. Hassan Iqbal of being backward, anti-Islamic and misogynist and whatnot. The fact is their defense mechanisms up to now built by secular influencers can't see through the fact that the song is pointing to a cluster of moral problems that have emerged out of co-ed school system. Immodesty, free mixing between genders, irreverence towards religious teachings are to a great extent the fruits of co-ed school system and what it produces through secular conditioning.
Mr. Hassan Iqbal points to the fact of declining moral quotient that is gay rat of the community as a whole. He points it through the opposite pairs that modern education has forced as the only options, that is, it's either hijab or education, or it's either modesty or ignorance. It's truly this contradiction that no one is prepared to see, let alone discuss at large. Trade-offs of assimilating to the pressures of modern co-ed culture are hazardous to a truly religious mind, to say the least. Since no one in the comments seems to go against the set narrative, they fall short of understanding the broader issue here. If they had understood it well, they would have come up with better alternative to the secular co-ed filth than rant along the old lines. Oh, no, Mr. Hassan Iqbal is against the education of the girls. Also, Mr. Hassan Iqbal is also lacking in proposing any alternative against the co-ed system he is critiquing, but it doesn't, in any way, undermine his larger argument. The dark side of secular co-ed culture is more than apparent. Sexual violence is more prevalent at college than any other crime. According to the RAIN organization, college women are twice as likely to be sexually assaulted than robbed. It's obviously due to the elements of rape culture that develop within campuses.
These people who are making fun of this man's content are living in denial of what co-ed as a control system is. Their naivety can't go beyond seeing it as a blameless learning system. What's made to unlearn there is something only generations can process. Given the third world region that subcontinent is which in blind faith loves co-ed but doesn't have the acumen of its first world masters to conduct longitudinal studies on the sociological efficacy of the co-ed system, let alone challenge its undermining of the religious core. Stop acting like a zombie for a minute, please. And now picture the things you have experienced in the secondary schools and colleges that came as a shocker to you at first. It was a kind of moral shock, and then you developed self-doubts or existential doubts but couldn't question the things out loud. Because you were told everyone was doing it. That it was okay. You were told to grow up. And later you gave up your uprightness for the group norm or became isolated. Few consciously choose the second outcome. That's the reality of the secular co-ed system. A compromise that you make in the name of group norm because you are cog in the system and you choose to remain one. Conform or perish. Those are the two options. It is co-ed colleges which are the breeding grounds of the rape culture. There has been much research on it.
Many studies have found that sexual assault is a significant problem on college campuses. For example, a 2015 report by the National Sexual Violence Resource Center, NSVRC, found that 20 to 25% of college women will experience sexual assault during their college years. 6 to 11% of college men will commit sexual assault during their college years. 1 in 5 women and 1 in 71 men have experienced sexual assault while in college. What will you expect in a tense environment where free mixing of genders is allowed along the currents of consent and competition? The sexual assaults in campuses are ultimate rising despite redressal mechanisms which are largely ineffective because they too suffer from sexual politics. There are interviews and confessions where girls have acknowledged that they felt safest in the all-girls college or school. Free mixing between genders in education in one setup can't be reconciled because they are contrary to the aims of productive education. Sexual freedom and sexual energies can't be regulated efficiently without first compromising the attention primary goal of learning deserves. It is pure aberration. This aberration was established by the sexual revolution of 1960s in the name of freedom of liberty. Prior to that, colleges were generally gender segregated as an educational norm. But brainwashed people think co-ed has been there as long as there has been capitalism. But co-ed is like capitalist factory system whereby girls and boys are on the assembly line shoulder to shoulder generating the objects of their exploitation. Well, there is a fair alternative but which has been made to appear monstrous. That is single-sex school or gender-segregated school system. Data speaks for itself in this regard. Single-sex education systems observe greater productivity, safety, and lesser dropouts because competition is streamlined and sexual friction eliminated. The article, Do Single-Sex Classes Affect Academic Achievement? An experiment in a coeducational university examines the causal effect of single-sex schooling using a randomized field experiment. It presents compelling evidence in favor of sex-segregated education. It highlights several key points. Females in single-sex classes score a quarter of a deviation higher than their counterparts in co-ed classes. Females in single-sex classes are 7.7% more likely to pass the class than their counterparts in co-ed classes. Females in single-sex classes are more likely to attend their classes and do optional assignments. Females assigned to single-sex classes in their first year are 57% less likely to drop out of university. Females assigned to single-sex classes in their first year are 61% more likely to get a good degree. Whereas there is no statistically significant effect of single-sex classes for males. The study suggests that girl students in single-sex classes often feel more comfortable participating and expressing themselves, leading to greater engagement and improved academic outcomes. The proposal for single-sex schools and colleges is not considered not only with distaste but met with unwarranted backlash. The reason is that co-ed has been made synonymous with liberal education, which is not unusual with the secular way of institutionalizing things. The irony is that liberal men who rally the voice of women empowerment can't voice the reasonable cause for greater establishment of girls-only schools and colleges. Their interest and that of their masters lies in intensifying the gender conflict and sexual tension to keep the labor force predictably tuned to greater and greater profits. It is to the same effect that the institution of co-ed has succeeded in creating many polarized options for religious-minded people, such as it is either education or hijab. If there were no such polarized options, there would have been many girls-only colleges, which means there would have been both education and hijab. But then their marketable propaganda of sexual freedom would have gone terribly waste.
कंजरां दा हसन ए दौरे किन्ने करनी सच ते गौरे कंजरां दा हसन ए दौरे किन्ने करनी सच ते गौरे किन्ने करनी सच ते गौरे बस अपना आप बचा ले ओत डांस करदी पई है ओत डांस करदी पई है ओत डांस कर